Hello and welcome back to another episode of Placement Sundays. So today we have with us Vani. So could you give us a small introduction about yourself, please?
So, hi everyone, I am Vani Chitkara and I am a final year student at IGT2W, and I have been an intern at Outreach, I have been an intern at Microsoft, and I am an incoming software engineer at Palo Alto Networks.
So what's your role in the company?
So, I have been selected as a software engineer and I'll be joining them as software engineer.
You cracked this company through on-campus drive, right? So tell us about your journey of being selected in this company. How was the process?
Like before getting selected, there were 4 rounds. First was the online assessment, and it had some aptitude questions and coding questions, and it was of around 3 hours. Okay. So that was a very rigorous test, and we had around 2 coding questions, and there were around 50 questions of aptitude, and like they had they had logical reasoning, verbal reasoning, and they had I guess some of the questions were based on language too, like C++ or Java. So they had these kind of mixed bag questions. And after this round, there were 3 rounds of interviews. So my first round was based on basically on computer networks, and they focus more on the core subjects. So like they asked me about computer networks, they asked me about OS and OOPS and DBMS. So first round was solely on computer networks, and after that second round was based on these core subjects plus my resume. So like all the skills that I've added in my resume, they asked me each and every one of them. So like the interview asked me about CSS, they asked me about web performance, they asked me DBMS and OOPS, and they asked me about there were a lot of other things that I'm forgetting right now, but they did ask me about React and Angular as well. So like everything that I had in my resume, interviewer knew about it beforehand, and they had prepared questions. They also asked me some questions from core EC. Like they asked me questions from microprocessor as well. So like they know what you are studying in your college, and they know everything in your resume. Like they know your resume better than you. So they ask questions that cover everything that's in there, and they asked me about my experience in open source, and they asked me about my contributions in the technical societies and stuff like that. So like all of my achievements they did ask me. They asked me about my internship at Microsoft.
Okay.
So this was all in the second round, and honestly I'll tell you, like this round was really tough because there was many of the things that I had forgotten because I had added them a long time back, and I didn't have the time to brush up those skills of mine before the interview. So I was kind of scared like whether I would get in or not. But the best thing about the interview was that they only judged me on the basis of what I knew and didn't mind the things that I don't know, because I had that conviction that even if I don't know these things right now, I'll come to your company and I'll prove you that I know those things and I can work on myself and increase my skill set. So this was the second round, and after that the third and the final round was the HR one.
Okay.
And so again she asked me some questions from my resume and like what I did during my internship at Microsoft. And this round was the shortest and I'd say the easiest one, because she also asked like a few behavioral questions as well, like what kind of team you want to work with and what kind of colleagues you want to work with. So things like that as well, just to see that if I'm a team player or not, which is very important when you are interviewing. So this was my interview process, and the last round was in the afternoon, and by the evening I got the result that I have selected.
Great. But this is very rare that the interviewer has prepared about your resume beforehand, because all the interviews that I have gone through, they ask us to introduce, and they do not know anything about our resume. This is very, very, very rare.
Like for the second interview itself, the interviewer didn't even ask me like about my introduction. He straight up jumped to the questions because he knew me through my resume. So that's a very big thing. And we were around like 16 candidates. So for each of the candidates, they had done the same process, which is a very commendable thing by a company. And Palo Alto Networks
shows that they were very serious about the whole process.
They were really serious about it. Like they are hiring candidates right now because they're expanding in India. Like they have.
This was the first time Palo Alto visited our campus.
Yeah, it was the first time, and they are expanding in India. So they still have a lot of openings. You can check out their careers page and their job portal for the other openings. And also, they have been in India since the last 1.5 years, and right now they're rapidly expanding. So they do have a lot of opportunities over there right now.
How did you prepare for the coding round?
So I have been practicing DSA for a long time, and these the practice that I had, it helped me a lot, and I especially emphasize on topics like trees, and I got to know beforehand that they focus on trees and DP, so I focus on those topics. And that, my preparation helped me a lot during that. And also they do focus on strings as well, so if you are sitting for their interview, or sorry, OA round, you need to focus on these topics itself.
Anywhere in the interview rounds, did they make you do a proper coding question in front of them?
They only asked me a short mathematical problem, and it was not a proper DSA question, I'd say, because it was more of a mathematical problem, but they asked me to write a code for it. So they didn't ask me proper DSA questions that one expects in an interview, but they did ask me to code, so just so they can check that how do I code, and what's my style of coding. So they just only asked me a very small question. But a few of my peers who were interviewing as well, they were asked some questions of DSA and mathematical problems. So it totally depends on the interview and how he wants to proceed with the interview.
So for companies like this, you need to be prepared and
there's a holistic preparation, because you need to know about the core subjects, you need to know about your things that you are mentioning in your resume, your tech stacks and everything, and you need to know about DSA as well.
What question did he ask about your core branch?
So he asked me about from microprocessor, and honestly I dread that subject because it was in my 6th semester, and only God knows how I did that subject. So he asked me the difference between 8085 and 8086 microprocessor, and he asked me the instruction set for 8085 processor. And luckily I remembered some things because we were giving offline exams for that subject, so we had to memorize it, and luckily he asked me from that subject only, because I had some slight memory of the things that he was asking. So I told them as much as I knew about those things. Literally it was so unexpected, because you never think that they're gonna ask you core subjects in an interview.
They never ask anything which they would not require in the workforce.
But it's a networking company, so they build the software, they build on the network side, they build some hardware as well. So they were expecting that if you're from an EC background, you should at least know something about microprocessors.
And how did you prepare for the interview rounds?
So, I read about the previous experience, and most of them said that they focus on core subjects. So I prepared, I focused my preparation around computer networks. So I used Triver's core sheet, and I read the questions from the networking part there, and I revised those. I watched some YouTube videos as well about those topics, so that I know in depth about the topics that Triver's sheet had. So I read about those topics. Then I touched upon OOPS and DBMS basics. I studied them through InterviewBit website, and for OS I had that OS primer. One of my seniors shared that, so I had a brief reading of that primer just so I know about the topics. Being an EC person, you don't know much about the core subjects of CSC, but if you are targeting these companies, you should have knowledge about them. For OOPS and DBMS, we did study in our curriculum, but CN
that
and
was
OS,
very brief one.
Yeah, but it's very brief, but I think it's good to go if you are sitting for an interview. But for CN and OS, which were not in our syllabus, we had to, watch videos and find some resources just so that we're prepared for interview if they ask questions from those topics.
Got it. And in the end of the interviews, you get a chance to ask the interviewer some questions, a set of questions, or even one question.
Right.
So what did you ask the interviewer?
From both of my interviewers, I asked about their experience at Palo Alto, because they were at a very senior position and had been with the company for a very long time. So I asked about their experience and how they envision Palo Alto's future in India, because they were just expanding as I got to know from them. So they told me about that they have been working with a very long time, and they were in the California division of the company, which is the headquarters. So they came back to India since they were from Indian origin, and they are working at the Bangalore office right now. So they told me about that and whatever they had thoughts about the company. So it was a very nice interaction with the interviewers. Both of them were very sweet and very accommodating, because initially I was facing some audio issues with the second interviewer. And he was so nice that he used to repeat questions for me if I, miss some words, or if the question isn't clear for me because of some accent problems. So they repeated that, and they didn't even, they helped me throughout the interview process. It wasn't like they left me clueless. They always pushed me towards the right answer of the question.
It really helps when you have a good interviewer. Your you become positive and you automatically get the good answers and the correct ones.
And like I was giving an interview after a very long time, so I was nervous that okay, it's been a long time since I've faced an interview, how I would be performing there. But they were really good, they were really friendly, so it altogether eased my experience of giving an interview there.
So what did you love the most about this stressful period of placements?
I'd say the thing that I loved the most was that I was back to being my consistent self, because once you are interning and then you are waiting for your PPO results or like your placements, you might think that okay, now it's the time that I need to get back and gear up, and you need that push. And this placement season was the push for me. I came back and became consistent again on lead code. I practiced and I invested hours and hours of studying for placement, which was something that was missing because during online, the online online mode of classes, and we were slacking a little bit, as everyone knows. They were not studying the way they used to. So this was something that I was missing about me. And also the thing that I loved was that the peers that we all came together and were helping each other. We were helping each other study and find the right resources. We were helping each other, to find opportunities either on campus or off campus. So it was the time that we saw the harmony between the IGDTO girls and how they are there for each other and standing for each other and motivating each other at every step. Like I remember the results used to come that okay, this person is shortlisted, and literally we were spamming in the group all the best, and we were asking after every round, अच्छा ये round कैसा गया? Next round कौन सा है? अच्छा क्या result हुआ? So that was the thing that really,
your friends really help you
exactly
in this
really
pressure time.
Like you need to have a strong support system around you.
It really helped me too. And how did you tell your parents and siblings about the confirmation, and how did they react?
So I tell you, like after the Microsoft fiasco, like I didn't get a PPO. If anybody's curious, so I didn't get a PPO, and I was literally very heartbroken and very disheartened because I had like my future planned around it. Like okay, what if I get a PPO? So I had a lot of things planned around it, but universe had a different course for me. So I was very heartbroken, but then the moment I got to know that I didn't get a PPO, I came back to my desk and I started studying that moment. Like I was a little bit heartbroken. I was very dazed that what should I do now? What's next for me? But then I didn't let that thought come to me. And my mother was like supporting me throughout that. Don't worry, don't cry. If this is not meant for you, you have better things for you. Exactly. And that was the case for me. And like, she knew that I was interviewing throughout, and when she came back to office, only then I got my result. And I told her, Mama, offer mil gaya. And she was so happy for me, and we were dancing around. And that's the day I decided that okay, let's party now. now I can be stress free, and now I can party around. So I went out to have like a dinner with her, with my sibling, and then we went out with my relatives and neighbors, like everyone who was concerned for my placements. So I told them, everyone, that okay, this is done now, I am placed finally. And that's how I broke the news to everyone. Like my grandparents were so happy for me. Like it's their habit, like whenever they get to know about any of their grandchildren's success, they just dance around and tell everyone who's coming at home that dekho iske lottery lag gayi, iske placement ho gaya. That's a very cute thing that they do. So it was really cute to see them do that with telling about my success to everyone. So that was a very warm and like wholesome moment for me.
All your hard work paid off really well.
True.
And ये है कि even when she did not get the PPO, उससे और बेटर कंपनी, बेटर पैकेज, सब कुछ एक हफ्ते के अंदर था इसके हाथ में. तो नहीं मिलता कुछ तो सच में कोई रीजन होता है. और जब हमें पता चला कि नहीं मिला, तो हमारा पूरा ग्रुप ऐसा हो गया था कि इससे नहीं मिला तो हम लोग को कहीं मिलेगी भी कहीं से नौकरियां कि नहीं.
आई रिमेम्बर मेरे से ज्यादा सबको टेंशन हो गई थी इसका नहीं होता हमारा क्या होगा. बट इन द एंड there's everything for everyone. Like universe has planned good things for you. And like if one door closes, then the better one opens for you.
और जब आप सबसे least expect कर रहे हो ना कि आपको मिलेगी जॉब या मिलेगा, उसी टाइम आता है जब ऐसे बैठ के सोच के बैठो कि इस कंपनी में तो हो जाएगा, नहीं होगा उस कंपनी में.
But you go there where you're destined to be. And मतलब मुझे खुद expectation नहीं था कि like only after the first interview I'm giving after rejection I get selected because I thought that नहीं अभी इतनी easily कैसे मिल जाएगा. I need to go at least like 4 or 5 companies before I get something. But like even the TNP coordinators, those who got to know that I didn't get a PPO, they were like तू तो आराम से निकल जाएगी, तू तो भाई फर्स्ट प्लेसमेंट वाली बच्ची है, सिर्फ डे जीरो वाली बच्ची है कि तेरा तो हो जाएगा. एंड दे वर ट्रू अबाउट इट. एंड मैं अभी भी वो तुझे कहती हूं, मैं तुझे बोला था. Right, that's true.
One golden tip that you would like to share with all the students watching this video to ace the placement season and the whole process.
So I'd say there's just not a one tip, but a lot of tips that, you know, prepare your resume very well. Be thorough with your resume. Like everything you have written there, make sure that you know about it, and just don't write things like, you know, even if you don't know those tech stacks, just don't put these things in a resume because it might backfire you in interviews. Also, be consistent with the preparation, do DSA regularly, and study core subjects side by side because both of them are very important. Like, it also depends on the company you're targeting. For example, like Google only asks about DSA, whereas Microsoft and other companies, they do ask about core subjects as well. So, it totally depends on the kind of companies you're targeting. So prepare accordingly and prepare well, be consistent with the preparations. Also, keep in touch with your friends and help them, support them because they also need the support that you want during this placement season. Like all of you might think that you are alone in this battle, but you're not.
But everyone is facing the same amount of pressure.
Yeah, so be there for each other, support each other, help each other to study and celebrate each other's successes when you know, get placed. So celebrate your friend's success even if it comes before your success because they'll also be there for you when you are getting successful.
एंड वो मतलब डिमोटिवेट नहीं होना कि ओहो उसकी लग गई, मोटिवेट होना कि उसकी लग गई मेरी भी लग जाएगी, मेरी तो दोस्त है. मैं तो मतलब हमेशा यही सोचती हूँ.
Exactly, don't compete with your friends, rather help each other and push each other and motivate each other.
Thank you so much, Vani. I am very glad that you were the first one I interviewed. All her knowledge has actually paid off very well and she really worked hard for each and every role that she has grabbed. As she had already told, इसमें मतलब बहुत काम करा है इसने और बहुत अच्छे से करा है.
Thank you, Srishti, for inviting me, and I hope that you learned something from my interview with her today. And do like, share, and subscribe to Srishti's Rising Life.
Today we have with us Nehal. Hi, Nehal.
Hi, I'm a final year computer science student and I interned at Microsoft and I also received a PPO in the same. I'm also the founder president of Minerva, which is the first technical forum of our college.
Hello and welcome back. एक मिनट सीधा बैठ. मम्मी प्लीज दरवाजा बंद कर लो.
Google की सीट.
हाँ ये बंद कर लो. हाँ